Let's have a look at exterior doors in the 3D Tiny House Designer. To get started, I'm going to have a look at the exterior doors in my exterior panel in my library bar. And once you click on the exterior doors, you will see a bunch of different presets come up. And they're all quite similar, only that some of them have more panels and some of them have less panels. To place an exterior door, you will left click on the door once, and then you will hover over the wall that you want to place the door on. So at the moment I'm hovering over on this wall here, but I can also hover it on the other side and will automatically snap to it. So I'm just gonna place it somewhere here in the middle of the house here somewhere. And it's not really in an ideal spot at the moment, but I will show you how to actually move this door into the right place. So with exterior doors, it's quite important that they are aligned with the bottom of over the top of the trailer, meaning that there's no gap in between the door and the trailer, meaning that you can just simply step into the tiny house easily. To do that, you can either use the gizmo that has come up here, or you can use the dimension move tool. I'm just going to use the gizmo here with a left click and drag to move it down, like this. And you will see the dimension is now 0, meaning there's no gap in between. I'll just let go like that. Or I can go in, click on it, type in 0, and now it moves it all the way to the bottom for me, meaning the top of the trailer. So what is also quite important when you are placing doors is that you understand where they are located on the exterior wall. So at the moment you will see the dimension move tool here is pointing out that there's no gap in between here. There's a 700mm gap between this side of the exterior door and the start of this wall here. And then we have 6,900mm on this end. So what's important to consider is that the dimension move tool is picking up the junction here and it's not picking up the exact end of the tiny house. So if we look into the shell settings of the tiny house, we will see that my wall thickness is 100mm. And this part here is also 100mm thick because it's the junction between the two walls. So if we want this exterior door here to be exactly, let's say, 1000mm from the exact exterior of this tiny house, we can go in and type in 900 because 900 plus 100 is 1000. So one other important thing to consider as well when you're placing exterior doors is that you want to make sure that all exterior doors and also windows all line up on the same height. And you don't have to do this, but it's more of an aesthetic thing, because if you look at multiple doors here on this wall, it will look more, I guess, streamlined if you have all of the doors and windows on the same height rather than having them all over the place. So the design looks a little bit calmer and a bit more modern as well. But that's in the end completely up to you what you want to do. Another thing is when you are placing exterior doors or windows, once you want to select them again, sometimes the wall that the object is sitting on can come in the way, and you can actually disable your exterior wall layers. So I'm just going to go into my layers here, and you will see the walls are currently enabled, but if I click on no, you will see now I cannot select my exterior walls anymore. It's still picking up on the cabinets behind, but now it will make it much easier for me to just select my exterior doors here again. So that's the selection layers. Now let's go into the settings of your exterior door. Once you have placed the preset, you can modify everything about them. The base settings here are the width and the height. And at the moment it's set to 700mm and 2000mm high. And if we want to change this, we will just type in, let's say, 1000 like this, and now it will make my door wider. And the same thing goes with the height here, of course, as well. You can also change the name of the door, and this is important when you are exporting a takeoff, because that will show up on your takeoff later on as well, so you can understand which one's which. Then let's have a look at the panel settings. The panel settings define the overall look of this door. At the moment we just have one single panel and it has quite a thin frame, so it's a more modern and sleek design, but you can actually change the thickness of the frame here. So let's say if we want to have a chunkier design like this, we can have a thicker frame thickness, and the same thing goes with the sash, which is the inset panel here that surrounds the glass. So let's say we want to make this 200 like this. Now we can actually have a more stylized entrance door, if that makes sense. Then we have the panel count. At the moment we have, I'm just quickly going to revert this here to the default. At the moment we only have one panel. And that makes sense because my door is currently only 1000 millimeters wide or a meter wide. But if we, let's say, make this 2 meters wide and we want to make this into a bifold or trifold door, we can add multiple panels. So like this, if we add a panel like this, it now splits the panels in half. Or if we have 3 panels or 4 panels and so on, you can start splitting these panels in half to have folding or opening doors like that. At the moment the panels are set to equal, but we can disable that, or we can just simply type in a different value like this here and it will tick this off here automatically. That way we can go in and create a design with uneven panels as well. Uneven panels for doors usually don't make that much sense unless you have a very specific design in mind, because they need to open, of course, and otherwise the hinges wouldn't really make sense, but this makes more sense for windows. So I'm just going to revert this to 3 panels and I'm going to set this to equal panels, which makes sure that every single window is the same size in that door.